Welcome to Online Tutor for English. My name is Maggie. This lesson is about the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense, also called the present perfect, is one of the more difficult English tenses to use correctly. There are two reasons. First, the present perfect does not exist in many other languages, so English learners can have difficulty understanding this concept. And second, explanations in textbooks are quite often inadequate. The explanation given here for the present perfect is as used by both British and American English speakers. Below are 10 different ways we use the present perfect. This categorization is a generalization that we offer. This is to say that the usage of the present perfect varies as a matter of preference among English speakers of different backgrounds. Americans tend to use this tense more loosely than the British. For example, an American would say, "Did you go to lunch?" But the British would instead say, "Have you gone to lunch?" Or Americans would ask, "Did you see that movie?" But the British would prefer, "Have you seen that movie?" However, please don't worry about this too much. Learn the rules first, and then use whichever usage you prefer, American or British. There are 10 different ways that we use the present perfect. Number 1, past actions with results in the present. We can use the present perfect to describe an action from the past which has a result here in the present. For example, Paul has eaten all the cookies. When was this action done? In the past, a few minutes ago, or maybe yesterday. But what's the result? There are new cookies here in the present. She has broken her glasses. The glasses were broken in the past, and the result? Broken glasses. Number 2, actions which began in the past and are still continuing in the present. We can use the present perfect to describe an action that started in the past and is still going on. For example, Paul has lived in London for 10 years. So when did this start? 10 years ago. Is it finished? No. Paul is still in London. He lives in London right now. Number 3, actions at an unspecified time before now. We can use the present perfect to say that an action happened at an unspecified time before now. The exact time is not important. So you cannot use the present perfect with time expressions such as yesterday, 1 year ago, last week, when I was a child, when I lived in Japan, at that moment, that day, or one day. We can use the present perfect with expressions like ever, never, once, many times, several times, before, so far, already, and yet, because these are unspecified. For example, I have seen that movie 20 times. When did I see the movie? It's unspecified, but sometime in the past. I think I have met him once before. There have been many earthquakes in California. Has there ever been a war in the United States? Yes, there has been a war in the United States. Number 4, experience. You can use the present perfect to describe your experience. It is like saying, I have the experience of ... You can also use this tense to say that you have never had a certain experience. For example, I have been to France. You have the experience of being in France. Maybe you've been once or several times. I have been to France 3 times. you can add the number of times at the end of the sentence. I have never been to France. You have not had the experience of going to France. I think I have seen this movie before. He has never traveled by train. Joan has studied 2 foreign languages. Have you ever met him? No, I have not met him. Number 5, change over time. We often use the present perfect to talk about change that has happened over a period of time. For example, you have grown since the last time I saw you. The government has become interested in arts education. Japanese has become one of the most popular courses at the university since the Asian Studies program was established. My English has really improved since I moved to the United States. Number 6, an incomplete action you are expecting to complete. We often use the present perfect to say that an action which we expected has not happened. Using the present perfect suggests that we're still waiting for the action. For example, James has not finished his homework yet. Susan hasn't mastered Japanese, but she can communicate. Bill has still not arrived. The rain hasn't stopped. Number 7. The action happened in the past. I have a memory of it in my mind now. We use the present perfect to mention an action that happened in the past and that we remember. For example, you seem familiar. I think I have met you before. Where have my keys gone? I remember I left them right here on this table. Number 8, accomplishments. We often use the present perfect to list the accomplishments of individuals and humanity. Again, you cannot mention a specific time. For example, man has walked on the moon. Our son has learned how to read. Doctors have cured many diseases, and scientists have split the atom. Number 9, multiple actions at different times. We also use the present perfect to talk about several different actions which occurred in the past at different times. The present perfect suggests the process is not complete and more actions are possible. For example, the army has attacked that city 5 times. I have had 4 quizzes and 5 tests so far this semester. We have had many major problems while working on this project. She has talked to several specialists about her problem, but nobody knows why she is so sick. And finally, number 10, duration from the past until now. We use the present perfect when it means that something has happened at some point in our lives, sometime before now. So sometimes we want to limit the time we're talking about for an experience. Expressions such as in the last week, in the last year, this week, this month, so far, and up to now can be used to narrow the time frame. So, for example, have you been to Mexico in the last year? Have you really seen that movie 6 times in the last month? They have had 3 tests in the last week. She has worked for 3 different companies so far. This week, my car has broken down 3 times. Now here's one important note. Last year and in the last year mean very different things. Last year means the year before now. In the last year means sometime from 365 days ago until now. So for example, I went to Mexico last year. This means if it is now 2009, I went to Mexico in 2008. I have been to Mexico in the last year. This means I have been to Mexico at least once at some point between 365 days ago and now. We don't know exactly when. So I hope you all can visit Mexico sometime. That's the end of this lesson from Online Tutor for English.